Hello friends. Okay, we are back for another part. But this part is actually quite different than what I thought it was going to be. And let me tell you why. So first off, I do want to update a couple of things that I said I would circle back to in the first video. One of them being I wondered if soil actually was able to be used to make lake pigment. Because I knew soil could be used to make pigments, but I didn't know if it was lake pigment or something else. So here's what I found out. Soil and minerals are actually part of what we call earth pigments. So lake pigment comes from plant material and fruit and vegetable, like peelings, probably peelings more than anything, or generally scraps. Speaking of, the other thing the thing that I did not plan to talk about in my next video is I need to make a correction. So I had a conversation with Gabby a couple of days ago, and we were talking about my just excitedness about this clover that I am turning into pigment and lake pigment. And I told her about the name that I have, like, because I've gone all the way to the end of the process. Like, I've got a name for this paint and everything. And she said she calls me Chanchu, and there's a whole story behind that. Maybe I'll tell y'all one day. But she told me that I definitely could use the clover to make a lake pigment. She said, but you might be surprised at the color that it turns out. And so I told her, tell me more. And she reminded me of something that I learned probably in third grade science class that just did not even occur to me. So I'm so glad that she and I had this conversation. And what she reminded me of is the process of photosynthesis and the fact that the leaves are green because while they're still connected to their life source, they're going through the process of photosynthesis, which is what makes the leaves have their green color. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why the leaves turn different colors in the fall, because photosynthesis slacks down. That's why we get all the different colors instead of green. So the clover probably won't be green when it's paint. And she did give me an idea of what color it might be. You might have a guess, but I'm not gonna tell. And I'm still gonna follow through with making it, because now I'm really curious to see that process and to see the actual color. So I will keep you guys posted on that. And I'm pressing the pause button on that particular project because I definitely want to do a pigment which I will turn into paint with plant material that is probably gonna turn out closer to the color that I think it will. So here's what I did. We've got daffodils sprouting out where I live, at least. And I live I live on an old highway, and I live close to the new highway. I was riding down the highway yesterday and I saw daffodils on the side of the road. And so I was like, there's plenty. I'm not gonna take all of them. I'm not even gonna take, harvest. I'm not gonna harvest all of them. I'm not even gonna harvest most of them. I did want to harvest them, and here's what some of my thought process was. Besides thinking I'm not harvesting all of them, I won't even harvest most of them. I did not harvest the young ones. I definitely asked them for permission and I greeted them, because we talked about that, remember, in the first video. And I thought about it and I said, well, on the side of the road, what's gonna happen is they're gonna be really pretty for us as we drive down the road, and then they'll die back. And they'll feed the soil and they'll come back next year, which is a beautiful process. I said, and they could go through another process, and that would be they could contribute their petals, for the making of lake pigment, and they get to live a different kind of life where they get to be converted into a substance that will bring joy to people in a different kind of way and will have longevity, if we want to use that word, in a different kind of way, because once we paint, if we choose, we can keep that painting and it can bring joy to one or a lot of people. So that's just a little peek into the mind of Trina, my thought process in the decision about where to get my daffodils. So on to the daffodils. What I did was, oh, another thing that I said that I would circle back to. So Gabby suggested to have at least 30 grams of material for your pigment. And I said in the previous video that I wasn't sure why. Now I know. And that is because the more material we have, the stronger the dye. So less material, little less strength in the dye, little less probably pigment in the paint. So remember, Gabby's suggestion is at least 30 grams of material. So what I have done is I have harvested some dandelion, and I'm going to show you. This is a cute little basket I used while I was on the side of the road picking them. And this is I think this is about 50 grams. I can't remember. So what you probably can't see, but I do want to show you, is on the daffodil, there are a couple of parts that are not yellow. And I'm trying to get as pure a color as I can. And so what I have done is just removed that outer part. I'm sorry, I do not know the name of it. And this little green, I really should know these names, but I've also taken off the little green part, and I have collected them. I do have more because I don't want to just dispose of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in my compost bin, and so they too get to contribute to the circle and the cycle of life and living things. So that's the update. Got some of those questions answered that I said that I would answer, and got one answered that I didn't even know it was a question I should have asked. And we're making pigment from daffodils now, and we will come back to clover, I promise, because I'm so doggone curious. I just got to know how it turns out. So thanks guys, and remember, Human Nature Connection socials. Let's see, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube, and we are here to help foster well-being through connection with nature.